All right. Hey, welcome to Sunday Evening Live. We weren't here last Sunday evening because of
No.
something called snow
That's
and
right.
that. And it was beautiful.
I had to spend a whole 5 minutes going, what in the world is that?
I know, what is that? But I'm glad it's gone. You know, like I said this morning, if it snow at 90 degrees, I wouldn't mind it at all. But
I think that's called a dust storm.
that's probably that's a West Texas dust storm. That
Yeah.
is. But we're glad that you are joining us here. I'm excited about this evening because we're going to be dealing with one of our newer mission endeavors. I think the Lord has just opened up for us here at the church of reaching some families for the Lord. And that is a mission, I guess, Wayfinders is it. And Thomas is the one who is, he's our head honcho, chief whatever of the whole thing. So
CEO,
CEOs,
CFO,
all
head
that good
honcho.
stuff.
It's a volunteer position, so I
You can be whatever
can,
you
it's
want.
volunteer, so I can be anything I
That's
want.
right. That's it. And you know, folks, the thing is that God put this on Thomas's heart, and that's what thrills me is when God puts something on someone's heart, and then they approach me and say, "Hey, I want to do this," and it's not we need to do this, you know, type thing, but I want to do this. And they take it and run, as Thomas has done with this, because of a passion that God has given them. And Wayfinders, it deals with training up young men, boys, to be men of God. And as I was thinking about this, and I know this isn't y'all's passage, but I thought of Ephesians 6:4, fathers, don't stir up anger in your children, but bring them up in the training and the instruction of the Lord. Yeah. And I think that's what this is all about, is it not, Thomas? And so we're going to be interviewing Thomas while he's running everything here. So we're going to see if he can pat his head, rub his stomach at the same time.
I'm not a millennial on the phone. I may be on the phone, but I'm trying to make sure that we're switching and that remote connections are working and all that fun stuff's happening, and then doing this at the same time.
There you go.
Your little blue wheel will be turning.
Little blue wheel. It may be loading or buffering.
So tell us something about what did God do? I mean, how did He put this on your heart? Where did it first start?
Yeah, well, I think a lot of it started with, let me put my name in here 1 second here. Let's see if it's got me in here. Hold on. Hey, there I am. All right. You know, it really started, I have, and I'll be delicate how I say it because of the programs that we have, but scouting in general, the Boy Scout program started to, you know, if you're familiar with the politics of it, began to flounder a little bit on some issues really dealing with Christ. And so that kind of got me thinking, you know, I wish there was something else, but hey, you know what, it is what it is. Well, actually, Harlan, you told me about the Trail Life group originally. Mm-hmm. We'd done Trail Life. So we pursued that, and it was one of those things we kept coming back to you and saying, I think we can do this. And then I said, I can do this. And so we originally, we started with Trail Life. And so for those wondering what happened with Trail Life, due to some costs associated with that, we have kind of dissolved our charter affiliation and have created something brand new called the Wayfinders. And it's intended to be more community focused, it's focused on boys and growing closer to Christ, but it's also focused on the fathers as well, and eventually overall the family. And so we get Wayfinders from 1 Timothy 6:11, and I'm going to, as I told the boys yesterday, I'm terrible at remembering things, so I've got it pulled up on my handy-dandy tablet here. But it is, but you man of God, run from these things and pursue righteousness, godliness, faith, love, endurance, and gentleness. And that's where we get our key focus. Yeah. I want to put on screen here kind of the overall idea behind it. And you're asking me what got me thinking about it. Just kind of the times we're in. You know, I don't think we're, you know, everyone, not that that's the best way to say it. Times are getting tough, especially in the love and hate spectrums.
Right.
And we'll say politics. I'll just come out and say it in politics, and with the way our kind of the way we see each other, and plus our upbringing with Christ. You know, I don't think that we have the biblical foundation that we used to have when I was a kid, and then I would say the same was true when my parents were kids. the foundation was probably not as strong when I was there. And so I started thinking, what are things that we can do to, I don't know, do something in our own little area? And that's really the focus. I can't adjust and change what happens in Washington. I can't even change what happens in Austin, for that matter, let alone City Hall. But I can at least have some say in how my family grows and how my family matures and develops. And so the idea of it was, that's really it. I started thinking, okay, what can we do that's affordable for parents, affordable for the church, because the church is got the name of it. And really, this is something we've written from the ground up, and Chris has been instrumental in checking me and proofing me on what I type. Just like, and I'll go into a minute kind of what our curriculum is going to cover, but our vision is we want to be locally focused, an organization which encourages a godly and positive influence on the bond between fathers and sons. That's the key. And in turn, as they grow, as they age, and eventually become fathers of their own, we're hoping that something sticks from what we've taught them. And then, taking it further, and I'm starting to understand the frustration you have with this clicker.
See?
Here.
Yeah.
Like, what is he talking about? Just press the button.
And Rhonda's not up top.
Rhonda's not up there to
I know
make
there's
it.
no Rhonda today.
Help me,
is
Rhonda.
Really, we're trying to build, and to kind of take from that verse, 1 Timothy 6:11, we are trying to build boys into men that pursue those things, those godly things, the righteousness, and godliness, and faith, and love, and steadfastness, and gentleness. And, how do you do it? I have no idea. That's why we got Chris and other parents and other dads and people who aren't even a part of our church who are coming to our meetings. And we'll go into more details of when. But the overall program is intended to strengthen the bond between God and the child. I've got that center on here, but also God and the father, and then that would lead to God and the family. I mean, that's
Okay.
let's see it. Now, time will tell, but it's one of those things you've got to have a starting point. And so, and then taking that further, in all our lessons, in all our materials, we have applications for the son, and we have applications for the father. So, just like, yesterday, we did a series on prayer, how to pray. Very basic, nothing complicated, you just talk to God. And the idea is to build those foundations with the boys, but also to build those foundations with the fathers. So when they go to their families, one of the challenges I asked, I said, hey guys, I don't know what your current prayer life looks like, but pray with your family, start with your wife. Start praying with your wife. That's something not a lot of people do. And then start praying with your family. And it doesn't have to be perfect. That's the key. It doesn't have to be perfect prayer. And then from there, you can, that hopefully will strengthen your own prayer life with God. And so we went through the steps. We went through the Lord's model prayer and kind of picked it apart, but did it in a kid-friendly way. And actually, it was a Thomas-friendly way, because sometimes those words get confusing. That's what happens.
I understand.
And so what we do. So that's one part. That's one part of what we do. No, it's not. Hey, we're going to come to another Bible study on Saturday mornings at 9:00. What it is, there's Bible study involved, but we do outdoor activities too. So yesterday, Mr. Chris here, Mr. Cannon, we did how to tie off lures, and so that was my first time to know that there was actually a knot associated with that, because it was literally with me just tie it on here until you get it to stick.
What knot?
Palomar knot.
Palomar knot.
Probably
That's
the
a Palomar knot.
easiest, most basic knot.
And one of the quickest ones you can tie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's quick, but when you had us doing it and kids with hooks, it was like, okay,
Yeah.
pull the string. No, Thomas, you're doing it wrong.
And nobody got hooked. So.
Nobody got
Hey,
hooked.
it was a success.
And that is true.
Yeah.
I like that you have some with no hooks. I don't know if they're supposed to not have hooks, but there were some in your box that did. But that's one thing. But a few weeks ago we cooked breakfast at Chris Abshear's house. Chris Abshear, a local runs TES here in town, and we went to his house, cooked some eggs and bacon, and then the kids learned how to set up tents. One of the advantages that he has with his job, he collects trash for some areas, his company does, is he finds tents that people don't want, so he collects them. And so he's got a nice collection of still working tents that he's able to set up. So we did that at his house, and then prior to that, we went to Mother Neff State Park, and we had a hike, and Robert Learman was a part of that. And so we have a lot of men from our church that have been helping, and it, again, all volunteer base, and the amount of work that Robert gets here an hour early, We meet here Saturdays, every other Saturday, and there's a schedule on the website, and I'll put that in right now while I talk about it if you want to learn more about the group. The schedule's on the site, and we list out what we're doing. And so it's intended to have an outdoor focus, intended for boys to be with their fathers. And I also know that there are some boys who don't have fathers always in the mix and aren't and as involved as maybe they could be or should be. So it's to help them hopefully get involved. Or if the child has no father,
Okay.
we will step in and do as best as we can to help the family.
Well, and let me jump in because Chris, I know you're the kind of the chaplain of the group in that, and as Thomas said, some of the boys and maybe somebody watching here, a mother's going, "I'm it," in that. What is it that this ministry what can it offer her?
Yeah. You mean as far as in relation to her sons?
Her sons, yes.
Yeah. The first thing is it offers her the opportunity to get her son, whatever age, rubbing shoulders with some men who are doing our verse there that Thomas quoted from the Epistle to Timothy, who are pursuing righteousness and faith and love and striving to be the kind of men God wants them to be. One of the really important things is just influence. You become like who you hang around. And, bad company corrupts good morals, the scriptures tell us. And the opposite of that is true as well. Good company, what is it? And the Proverbs says, the one who walks with the wise will himself become wise. And so I would say if there's a single mom and she's got boys, what is our target? What is our age group, Thomas? Like kindergarten through...
We are still determining
65
right
or
now. It's
something?
based on our own
6
kids.
to 65.
Yeah, that's actually very true.
Our group is mostly
about
younger.
4 down. Lowest right now has been 4 and 5 in that range, and
Yeah.
then probably right before high school, middle school is where we're currently
Yeah.
at, and that's simply because that's the makeup of our current.
Sure,
our
but
kids.
this will extend probably K through 12, and as we
At some
grow,
point, yeah, we'll
we're
get
looking to kind of segment them into specific age groups. But if there's a mom and she's thinking, man, I need some good influence on my boys, if she has more than one, this is an every other Saturday opportunity for her to get him rubbing shoulders with some men who are, they're following the Lord, and they're men of integrity. They're men who care about these kids. And so I would say just influence, first of all. Second is we're going to have Thomas leads our devotion time. We opened up the Bible and we have a devotion time, and he was sharing from the Lord's Prayer this last time. We have a time where we pray together. And so there are going to be some spiritual disciplines that her kiddo is going to see and be exposed to. And I appreciate, where Thomas is going. He said he'll talk more about curriculum shortly, but just some really very basic things to a young person or even adults' spiritual life. And so I would say that just those areas at the very beginning, all in a context where we have a good time. I know the boys had a ball out at the Absher's house. He had an open fire, and he was cooking on that, and they were roughhousing around the yard, jumping on a trampoline, and then up here they had a good time gathering around the tackle box, and of course everybody likes hiking, and so it's in a context where there is some fun.
The kids
things.
loved hiking. The older men above 40 are like,
Well, yesterday we went over, my family, we headed out to Miller Springs. They're beneath the dam at Lake Belton. And we have a hiking backpack, and I carried our 1-year-old for about 2 hours up and down out there. And let me tell you something. Last night when I got home, and got the kids in bed, I was like, oh gosh. I was hurting.
well,
Chiropractor.
it is a fun time, and it's fun time for the parents too, because the dads, we talk, the kids will play, and I remember at Absher's house, we spoke with, we call each other by our professions or our hobbies. So one guy, we call him the RC car guy, because he races RC cars.
Yeah.
And his name's Ryan, but
He's got a real name.
he's got a real name. Hey, RC. We're gonna say, hey, that's his nickname, RC.
Yeah.
He drives, and it's a club he's a part of, and we talk with each other, and we're learning about things. Chris and Chris talk about guns, and Paul Malman was there as well, and so we all find things to talk about, and that's really the other goal with the group is we want the boys to have a good experience, especially, but you've got to get in on where the father is. And three of our members of the group, the dads, do not go to this church. They do go to other churches. And so they're plugged into that.
So they don't have to go. And I want to make sure folks understand, you don't have to come to this church in order to be a part of and participate in Wayfinders. Yeah,
that's right. And it's also not, and I do want to be very clear, it's also not a necessarily, I know there's what's the word I'm looking for, exceptions that'll happen, but we don't intend it to be where you drop your child off and you leave. It's intended for you to be involved. So that is the other half of it, is it's intended for there to be involvement with the parents as well, with the fathers.
And how, and let me hit on this, because again, of the single mothers out there, because I want to reassure them that their son is not going to feel out of place because he doesn't have I just want to make sure,
absolutely.
ladies, on that.
Absolutely. I mean, it's to build a bond with the father and son, but if the boy just does not have a father who's active in their life, we want them desperately, I don't want to say over prioritize who, but we want them involved. Mm-hmm. Absolutely want them involved. And that's kind of another target that we're trying to reach are the boys who don't have necessarily a male figure in their life. And that's kind of, what got me. And a lot of men my age have started coming to this. Either you realize it because you start seeing other people do it, or it could be signs of the times, but several men have been wrestling with these issues of, we feel sometimes inadequate as husbands, as providers. We feel inadequate, and so it's intended to help meet with other people. But, one of the guys who comes to our group, the RC guy, he has a men's breakfast, prayer breakfast that he does on the Saturdays we're not meeting, or right before, I think we do at 9, he does his at 7 o'clock out in McGregor. So he's got, and the same reason, he said, Thomas, I wanted men to come together and talk and realize that we're not all that different, and that we've got other men that care about God, and so there's a hunger there.
Yeah.
There's a hunger. And I don't have all the answers. I mean, I'm not trained to do anything. I just want them in a place where they can hopefully get more foundation.
Well, and I think that, I don't think you really need that training, is probably your thinking. I think you just follow the guidance of the Holy Spirit as you're doing in this, and He's going to take you in the right direction and doing the right things.
Right. Well, everything has to be bathed in prayer.
Yeah.
So we don't make decisions lightly. This wasn't saying, hey, let's just scrap what we were doing and become Wayfinders. There was an agonizing time that I was losing sleep thinking, okay, it's got to keep up with this curriculum and this curriculum. And I prayed. I said, God, what do you want me to do? I want to do something with this, but I just don't want to leave it, And that's when I paused, and the feeling of peace said, you're overthinking it. Keep it simple. And that was it. And we'll build on it. So right now our age is about 4 to 11 years old, 12 years old. We're going to expand that as they age as well. Mm-hmm. And, we have a camp out coming up in March 12th. I'll be talking to you about using the credit card in a minute.
Don't look at the bill, Kathy. Don't look at the bill.
That's right. But, Chris and I were trying to narrow down where to camp. One side note, always plan your camp outs much more than 3 months in advance.
Yes.
Like 10 months.
It's hard to find places, yeah.
Particularly in the day of COVID. Everybody's wanting to get out and
absolutely.
do.
Absolutely.
And in that, also, I think that we need to let folks know that, yes, these boys are meeting, the men are meeting, but everybody's being safe. Mm-hmm. We're keeping the distancing, the mask, and everything like that.
When we're indoors, we have had the masks on. And, we set our chairs and we stay apart as much as we can. The masks are a big benefit because anytime you're working with young boys, they're just like north and south ends of a magnet.
Yeah.
And so, of course, they're wearing the masks indoors. When we were outdoors, we took off the masks. And so anytime we're indoors, just trying to do the best we can to, keep up with the times.
And outdoors, though, you're not just huddling up.
No,
right.
yeah.
That's why I just want to make sure, moms, that you feel comfortable.
Yeah. And I mean, if I would say this for a single mom too. If she just wanted to bring one of her kiddos and says, but I really want to know what this is about, they're welcome to stay and watch and just see what goes on.
Right.
It's not a secretive
secret society.
men club, male, I don't say that sounds terrible. It's not a secretive club for boys. It's not.
Sure.
It's what it is. And I feel strongly as well that we need the same for girls. It's just there's a period of our lives where we get imprinted with, father, mom, and I think there's times where you need to have some of this bonding. And I know sometimes it's not possible if you're talking about a single parent situation, but it's important. I would like to see a program at some point for the girls. I'm not qualified to lead something like that. I don't have girls.
Yeah.
And so I would like to see that as well. But right now I can focus what I can focus on. And so that's really why we're doing it that way.
Yeah.
And so, we meet every other Saturday. We met this Saturday, so we won't meet this coming Saturday, but we'll meet the next one. You can go to our website, and I've put it up here a few times, and I've listed it. And on that is a registration form, or at least a form to contact us if you're interested in joining, or at least just more information. And also, we have a calendar of events, so you can see kind of what we have coming up. And like I said, the big one will be the camp out, but the week after next, Robert Learman was going to show the boys how to safely fire arrows. And so that's kind of
bow and
our
arrows.
agenda. Bow
Cool.
and arrows. Yeah. So there's definitely outdoor activities heavily involved. Because I remember as a kid growing up, we had scouts, and my group, we would show the cover of the book with them camping and doing all these hikes, and my group never did that. Never did that. And so we would go to a little church, and we would make pine cone bird feeders, which was fun. It was a good place to be. But, we didn't do that. So my challenge to myself was, okay, we're going to do stuff. We're going to do stuff outside that deals with what we're talking about as best as we can. So Robert Learman is into archery. Chris and several, your entire family is into fishing, and we've got something we're planning for that coming up in the next few months to be determined. It's been fun, and it's a good way for dads to get to know each other, and also for boys
All
to
right.
be in a safe
Fantastic.
environment.
And folks, if you got any questions or anything, man, put them in. Thomas will tell us what they are. If you got any comments, we would love to know. What are your thoughts on all of this? I mean, as you've been dealing and doing, and in just a minute, I'm going to get another special guest up here.
Uh-oh.
And he probably does not realize it, but I'm going to put him on the spot here.
He's
in a little
figuring
bit.
it out.
Yeah, and but what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I just going back from the beginning again. I appreciate so much Thomas's faith and willing to obey the Lord. And I'm not trying to toot your horn there, Thomas. All glory to the Lord, of course. But I remember way back when this first began, and just having some conversations with Thomas about his faith to step out and overcome some fears and whatnot. So I appreciate that courage of him stepping out to do something God put on his heart. I think it's a great example for people who look at a church and they see the different ministries going on. They look at their community and they say, what needs to be done? And they go and they say, wow, there's a need, and then they pursue that.
Yeah.
So I just praise the Lord for that, and very, very thankful. I have really enjoyed fellowshipping with the other men. Gotten to meet a couple of new guys, both Glenn and Ryan, fellows that I would never have met very likely if it weren't for this. And so I've enjoyed the fellowship, standing around and hamming it up with Paul and Robert and Chris Absher and Thomas. And so we're having a good time fellowshipping with one another and seeing the need that this has been meeting and is already met in some of the lives of these boys. So it's a tremendous need in our culture, and I'm very grateful that it's here and that it's available.
Oh, man, that sounds good. Hey, Mr. Caleb, come on up here, man. Come on,
bub.
Come on, you can do it. You can do it. Caleb's one of our. It's Chris's oldest.
This is
his
my
number
oldest right
one.
here. That's right.
The number one. And Caleb's been involved in this. So I mean, I think you need to get those who are involved in that to say a little something there. And folks, this has not been practiced or anything, so we are just off the cuff here as we do. But Caleb, let me ask you this. Have you enjoyed going to Wayfinders and the things that you're doing? You are?
It's been fun.
It's been fun? All right. What's been your favorite thing?
I would say the practicing tying on baits.
Practicing tying on baits. How'd you do?
Good.
Good? You like to fish, don't you? Yeah, it's always good to tie. I used to tie terrible knots there for a while, and the fish would get it, and the fish would take my hooks every time.
Yeah.
That gets expensive. You know how cheap I am. After a while, I learned how to tie a knot.
Yeah.
We're going fishing tomorrow morning.
Are you? And you're going to get to practice on your knots probably, right? All right.
I'm going to try to remember the instructions.
All right. Well, you've got one of the best instructors that's going to be there with you, I think. And are you looking forward to doing some camping also? All right. How's the Bible study? Is that good? Okay. All right. Anything else you want to say?
No.
No? Okay. Well, you did
Ask for
good.
feedback.
You did good right there. I mean, again, he had no clue I was going to call him up here, and I know it put him on the spot. Thank
I
you.
had a clue.
You had a clue?
I knew.
You knew.
I was like, who else is in here?
Well, I was trying to give you as much heads up as possible on that.
was
Thank you,
like-
Caleb.
Is he going to call somebody up here because I'm the only one in here?
Well, and you were it. You
was
were it.
you.
That's it. Well, what's some of the curriculum that you're going to be?
Well, so I actually have a bit of a layout. I'm still writing parts of it, but our next study is going to be on basic Bible study.
Okay.
Basic Bible study. Why we follow the scriptures, and Chris has been giving me good tips and advice on how to write that. And it is pastor checked. You know, Chris does check it and proof it. Not that I would intentionally put anything in there that'd be wrong, but you know the different concepts, because he's really good with his background with youth ministry and with children of explaining it. Like, Thomas, that's great if you were a professor, but if you were writing it for a kid, here's how you need to explain this process. Like, okay. And so it's helped immensely. But basic biblical study. I'm going to, at some point, probably move that into, not to get into the weeds, but if anyone's familiar with the John MacArthur Fundamentals of Christianity, it's kind of a kid's edition of that.
Okay.
So I've taken some of those concepts of the basics of it, and we're going to have, I can't think of the word for it, but salvation, talking about salvation, we'll be doing that. It'll probably be an integral core to every study we do. Basics of the Bible, finding strong men of the Bible, David, Paul. Basically, I'll take your Sins of the Saints series and change it up a little bit.
Change it up because they had some very good things, some strong
There's very
things in
strong
there.
things in
Yeah.
there, but that's so, finding men of the Bible that are very strong. And I will highlight that, hey, they weren't perfect either. So that's phase one. Phase two, we'll start as the boys age, we'll take the content up a notch to something that they can understand, to say, we'll go back into prayer and we'll talk about that. But it's basically, welcome to Christianity. That is the best way to describe it, because so many boys, men, this day and age, they go to church occasionally, but they're not grounded. Mm-hmm. They didn't go to church a lot. Mm-hmm. If they did, they didn't get the full in-depth message. That's my feeling. I mean, it's just, and this is to really give them a nice foundation.
Yeah.
And that's the takeaway, is a good foundation, so as they grow older, they can hopefully look back on those fond memories of, I remember going camping. I remember we did we tied on lures. I remember this, and fond memories of that. And they think, and I learned how I can talk to God just like I would talk to my own dad or talk to somebody in my family. Studying the Bible, it's important because the Bible tells us how we're supposed to live our lives. And it does. It tells you very strictly why you want to study the Bible, why you should. But Bible study is complicated. It's complicated for adults. This is to hopefully break it down and say, hey, if you're going to study the Bible, as a kid, here's what you can do to study the Bible. You don't have to sit down and start in Genesis and start reading. Let's start learning some of the fundamental verses and scriptures, and then as you age, and as you mature, not just with age, but with knowledge, you can learn more about how to study the Bible. And so that's really the key. And so the next lesson will be on the Bible, and then I'm going to push it on out over the next few months, and we'll continue from there. If parents want to join, or kids want their boys to join, again, go to the website. We will be collecting, it's a $10 a boy, up to capping it at 2 boys dues. So you have 2 boys, $20. We don't want the cost to be prohibitive to anybody, though.
So if you have 3 boys, it's
still $20.
$20. If you have 5 boys, it's $20.
Yeah.
Some families out there just went, yes,
Yeah.
I like
and
that.
if there's an issue, if there is any financial assistance needed, we want the boys involved. We will figure that out.
And that's one of the reasons we're doing it in-house, folks, is the fact that times are tough.
Mm-hmm.
And it's tough because there were dues to us, there were dues to another place, then there were some other things.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, no, it's just tough out there. We don't want to keep anybody from coming because they can't pay dues. This is to grow young men into godly men, and to make men godly men, or godlier men if they are godly in that. And so it's the cost is decent. There may be if there's special things going on, maybe a little
special trips
something.
we may say, hey, we need you to pay for this. So like for the camp out, for example, we're going to have families need to provide their own food. And we may say, hey, we're going to do hot dogs Friday night, so pack hot dogs enough for your family, maybe +1. And then, so there'll be those types of costs, and there may be some park entry fees as we do other things. We have plans to go to a few state parks over the year, and so it's going to be really fun. I'm learning things as we go too.
Okay. All right. Well, how much time we got, Thomas?
We're actually over by about 2 minutes.
We're actually over by about 2 minutes. Well, so Caleb, could you recommend this to boys your age? Say it's a good thing. Would you say this is a good thing for boys to be involved in?
This is a good thing for boys to be involved in.
All right. He says it is. All right.
Verbatim.
Yes,
Stamp
that's
of
it,
approval.
verbatim. That's it. Chris, any last thoughts you have?
Come join us at Wayfinders. Get on the website, look at the calendar, and if anything, just come and try it out and see what it's all about, and let your kiddo experience. Come watch and see what we do. We'd love to have you jump in and be part of it.
Yeah, so we won't meet this coming Saturday, but
Right.
we'll meet the Saturday after next. Go to the website. We have a calendar of events that has our meeting times
All right.
listed.
All right. Well, folks, I hope you've enjoyed this. Hope you've learned a little bit more about the missions going on here at First Baptist Church Troy. Again, part of the way we do these missions and provide some of the things we provide is through your faithful giving. And I want to thank you for faithfully giving to the church. But if you're watching and say, man, I want to do a little bit more, we have online giving. You'll find the link probably where you're watching us, somewhere there, and we'd invite you to give, because this isn't the only. We've got several missions going on and reaching our community for the Lord, and we want you to be a part of that. And so we appreciate that. Again, if you have any questions or anything, man, you can email the church or give us a call, and we'll get you in touch with Thomas, and we'll get you an answer for that. I think that's all I got. Is that all you got?
That's all we have.
That's it. All right. Well, Kathy, I'm going to be coming home to see you here real soon. Stephanie, Chris is going to be there. Jacqueline, Thomas will be there, and I think you're going to take Caleb with you too.
Yeah,
right?
I can't leave this guy.
There you go. All right. Hey guys, thanks for joining us. Y'all have a blessed week. God bless. Bye-bye.